In the midst of great change in the church, a young man named Charles Borromeo rose to prominence. It was the era of the Protestant Reformation, a time when faith, tradition, and authority were being questioned everywhere. While many sought to divide, Charles sought to renew. He used his position in the Vatican not for power but for learning and reform. He gathered scholars and thinkers, founding a literary academy where ideas could flourish and truth could be explored. When he later became the Archbishop of Milan, his mission of reform and compassion only deepened. With tireless devotion, he established hospitals for the sick, orphanages for abandoned children, and charitable institutions for the poor. If you would like to discover more about his remarkable service and the final chapter of his life, this video tells his story beautifully. Come, let's step into the video. Charles is a saint for our time because of his actions during the pandemic in Milan in the 1570s. In a pandemic of plague, Charles led his priests to care for the people of Milan. When the city officials ran away from danger, Charles ran towards it. He prepared himself for death, wrote his will, and went to the hospitals where cases are worst. In today's terms, Saint Charles was most certainly a key worker. As a priest, he administered the sacraments to those who were dying. He gave the Eucharist to plague victims through their open windows. There is even a story of him climbing a mount of dead bodies to give the sacrament of the sick to a man dying at the top. He was a great reformer and he spared no one, including himself, while imposing the strictest discipline for order. The church had fallen into days of corruption, dishonesty, and immorality. This naturally raised up against him an army of enemies, and they teamed up together against the bishop. Soon, an assassin was hired to kill him. Later on, in November afternoon, Charles was celebrating the evening service in his own chapel. He was on his knees at the altar. Behind him, people were atoning in anthem, and the assassin fired multiple shots at the bishop. Somehow, none of the shots harmed him and they were deflected. Only one managed to graze him slightly. It could only have been the wings of angels which caused the miracle. When the people around him rushed to the assistance of their beloved father, he ordered them to their knees again. And with unshaken calm, he proceeded with the service. Saint Charles forbade himself all luxury, reduced his household staff, forbade his retainers to accept any presents, and sold all his property to help feed the poor. There was not a town or village which he did not go. Everywhere he renewed the churches, preached, gave instructions, administered the holy sacraments, and exhorted all to lead a Christian life. Work and the heavy burdens of his high office began to affect Archbishop Borromeo's health. He fasted almost daily in the last years of his life, just water and bread. During the 40 days fast, he even abstained from bread. Towards the end of October in the year 1584, St. Charles had been traveling to some outlying districts in the diocese. On the way home, he fell ill with a heavy fever and had to be brought back to Milan on a stretcher. When he became obvious that he would die, he was given his last sacraments. He died on November 3rd at the age of 46. 26 years after his death in 1610, he was canonized by Pope Paul V and is the patron saint of catechists. Saint Charles Borromeo had a beautiful shrine in the Milan Cathedral and is often depicted in art wearing his robes barefoot, carrying the cross with rope around his neck and his arm raised in blessing. Saint Charles Borromeo knew that charity done for the least of his flock was charity done for Christ. His gentleness, humility, and virtuous life carrying his legacy through the ages and forever.
St. Charles Borromeo's social reform and his legacy. Models of Bishop. St. Charles Borromeo is remembered as a great example for bishop. After the Council of Trent, he showed what a good bishop should be like. He stayed in his own diocese instead of living far away. He focused on caring for his people, especially the poor and the sick. He did not chase after wealth or comfort. He lived a simple and disciplined life. Because of this, he became the model of the modern Catholic bishop, and his example is still followed today. The modern seminary system. St. Charles Borromeo is known for helping create the modern way priests are trained. The Council of Trent said the church needed seminaries, but Borromeo was the one who actually built them and made them work. His seminaries gave priests proper education, trained them in prayer, discipline, and service, made priestly formation more organized and professional. Because of his work, the system he started has shaped how Catholic priests are trained for hundreds of years. Structured religious education. St. Charles Borromeo helped to start the confraternity of Christian doctrine, which created organized Sunday religion classes for children. Because of him, kids learn the faith regularly, not just once in a while. Parish had a system for teaching the basic of Catholicism. Sunday school became a normal part of parish life. His idea grew and spread, and today CCD is still used in Catholic churches all over the world. Implementation of Tridentine reforms. St. Charles Borromeo took the decision made at the Council of Trent and made them real in his archdiocese. He did this by holding regular meeting with priests, visiting parish to make sure things were done correctly, organizing everything in a clear, orderly way. Other dioceses copied his system. Because of him, the reforms of the Council of Trent spread through the whole church. Examples of charity and service. During of terrible plague and famine in Milan, St. Charles helped the sick personally, spent his own money to feed them hungry, supported people when others were afraid to help. He showed what true Christian love looks like, especially for church leader in times of crisis. Patron saint and namesake. Because of his holy life and great work, he became a saint. Today, many places are named after him, such as schools, seminaries, hospitals, and churches. These institutions carry on his spirit of teaching, serving, and helping others.
நன்மை செஞ்சார் பாருங்க, நம்ம இயேசு சாமி போலே இங்கே யாருங்க.
நன்மை செஞ்சார் பாருங்க, நம்ம இயேசு சாமி போல இங்கே யாருங்க.
கோடி கோடியா நன்றி சொல்லி பாருங்க,
கோடி கோடியா நன்றி சொல்லி பாருங்க.
அவர் கோயில் முன்னே ஒன்னா கூடி பாருங்க, சேர்ந்து ஆடுங்க.
இயேசு சாமி நமக்கு செஞ்ச நன்மையெல்லாம் நினைச்சு நானும் பொழுதும் பாடிடுவோம் உண்மையான புகழ்ச்சி.
ஆமா இயேசு சாமி நமக்கு செஞ்ச நன்மையெல்லாம் நினைச்சு நாளும் பொழுதும் பாடிடுவோம் உண்மையான புகழ்ச்சி.
எத்தனை நன்மை செஞ்சார் பாருங்க, நம்ம இயேசு சாமி போல இங்கே யாருங்க.
ஆமா எத்தனை நன்மை செஞ்சார் பாருங்க, நம்ம இயேசு சாமி போல இங்கே யாருங்க. சொல்லுங்க. உள்ளங்கையில் நம்ம பேரை எழுதி வச்சாரு, அத கண்ணில் உள்ள மணிய போல காத்து நின்னாரு.
கையில் நம்ம பேரை எழுதி
எல்லாம் முன்னே போவாரு.
நாம போகும் பாதையெல்லாம் முன்னே போவாரு.
பெத்த தாயினும் மேலாய் மேலாய் அன்பு செஞ்சாரு. பெத்த தாயினும் மேலாய் மேலாய் அன்பு செஞ்சாரு.
பெத்த தாயினும் மேலாய் மேலாய் அன்பு செஞ்சாரு.
இயேசுசாமி நமக்கு செஞ்ச நன்மையெல்லாம் நினைச்சு நாளும் பொழுது பாடிடுவோம் உண்மையான புகழ்ச்சி.
இயேசுசாமி நமக்கு செஞ்ச நன்மையெல்லாம் நினைச்சு நாளும் பொழுதும் பாடிடுவோம் உண்மையான புகழ்ச்சி.
எத்தனை எத்தனை நன்மை செஞ்சார் பாருங்க, நம்ம இயேசுசாமி போல இங்கே யாருங்க.